Hello everyone and welcome along to your immediate TII reaction to Rangers' first signing of the winter transfer window. That's right, it's not even January 1st and Rangers have someone signed on the dotted line. It surprised me, it surprised Ross, I'm sure it surprised loads of you out there as well. But Rangers have signed promising Portuguese under-21 international Fabio Silva on loan from Wolves for the next 6 months. It was one that I didn't see coming. I'd actually seen some rumours that he was heading to the other side of the city, but not coming our way. 21 years old, Ross, Portuguese under-21 international. Wolves signed him for, was it 30 million euros? I think Wolves signed him for a couple of seasons ago. He's done a wee bit there. Last season he was out on loan at Anderlecht. He was out on loan at PSV. Both, I think he showed up well. And how are you feeling about this signing? It's only happened in the last hour or so that it's been officially confirmed. How are you feeling about the signing? Are you happy with it? Is it a good start to the window?
I think it's certainly a good start, Craig. I think we're all aware that we need strikers in the building. We're struggling in that department right now. I was the same as you. I seen the links maybe about a week ago now with Fabio Silva. I think he was linked to both sides of the city, as you've said, and I wasn't really sure whether it was one that Rangers would push for. Now that you're hearing a little bit about the background and Clermont and Copin being involved in that, it makes a lot more sense. I think it's a good signing, to be honest with you. I'm one of the people that always comes on the podcast and talks about loan deals, and I always think that if Rangers have the ability and the capability to bring in players of a higher calibre, then they should do that. I understand loan deals shouldn't be the basis of your transfer activity, but Fabio Silva looks to be a really good player, a promising player. He's only 21. He's maybe not had the impact he'd like to at Wolves after that 35 million move. I think it was a record signing for Wolves.
He was, yeah.
But like you said as well, he's went out on loan last season at Anderlecht and PSV, and he's done pretty well. So let's hope this is the next stage for him in his development and we can get the best of him for 6 months. So all around, Craig, I like the move. I really do like the move, and I think it's refreshing that it's being done so early in the window. You know, obviously the club recognise that we have a problem up front and they're addressing it quickly, and as fans we can't complain about that, can we? Because there's been certain times before where the club haven't been active enough. So yeah, I really like the move, Craig.
Excellent. So I think before we get into our thoughts and our views on it, let's get the formal stuff out of the way. Let's get the official comments that we've seen in the announcement statement. So Fabio Silva said, "I'm very happy. When I spoke to people about Glasgow and about Rangers, everyone told me good things about the club and the history. I played here once with Porto in the Europa League, so I already know the warm club, the environment and the stadium, so everything is perfect. I am very happy to be here and I can't wait to start training with the team." All very nice, all very standard platitudes that you'd expect from any arriving player there. I thought we would maybe get a bit more from Philippe Clermont. Again, it was probably pretty standard what you'd expect for a new signing. Philippe Clermont said, "I am delighted we've been able to secure the signing of Fabio. He is a highly rated striker and it is fantastic to have him joining our squad for the remainder of the season. He's a young player who already has some great experience in his career in both England and in Europe, and I'm looking forward to working with him moving forward." Ross, I actually thought the most interesting part of it was the fact that they included a quote from James Bisgrove. That's not normal for a signing, but it was interesting to hear what he had to say, and clearly he's trying to set the narrative very early with what we are, what they are as a football department trying to do in this January window. He said, "After speaking at length with Philippe, the chairman, and our football board ahead of this transfer window, we are all aligned in the areas we are looking to strengthen heading into 2024. It is hugely positive to have been able to add to the squad so early, especially with a player of Fabio's calibre, and we are delighted to welcome him to Rangers." Is there anything that sticks out from those three sort of comments for you?
No, not really, to be honest. I think it is the language you would expect after a signing like this. I think it's really encouraging that Fabio himself spoke about the kind of impact he felt when he was here with Porto in the Europa League, and he understands, you know, how intense an environment it is. That's good that he's had a little bit of a taste of that, because the pressure will be on straight away. It doesn't matter whether he's a loan signing or he's a young player, he will be expected to deliver, especially from the league that he's coming from, Premier League, best league in the world, really. Most would say that. So, you know, it's time for him to kick on, and I'm glad it's at Rangers he's going to do that. So no, there's nothing really that sticks out for me in that one, Craig. I think it's all the stuff that you would expect to read in these statements. But positivity, I suppose, right through Ibrox at the moment. Really good to hear from James Bisgrove in this as well, like you said. So yeah, it's good to see that all departments are working together on this.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of, I guess, my initial reaction is, it's great we've got a striker in the door. We definitely needed one. Dessers is burrowing a lone furrow, or furrowing a lone burrow. I can't remember which way around it is, but he is doing one of those. He's doing it all by himself at this moment in time, given the injuries to Danilo and given the injuries to Kamar Roof. I'm certain that we needed a finisher brought into the club. There's been lots of talk about Lawrence Shankland in recent weeks, and it's still one that interests me. If I'm honest, I'm not sure Fabio Silva is the proven out-and-out finisher that I was looking for from a striker. One thing I have seen today, having looked at a lot of the clips, it does seem to come in from out wide, which I think is a really interesting one, and he may be one to fill that wide right slot sometimes, which I think will be a really interesting one. Should we continue either with Danilo and Dessers as the two chosen strikers, or even if we look to sign someone like a Shankland in this window, I think it still leaves the room for that. Where do you stand on that one, Ross? Do you think this will be the one and only striker we sign? Is he what you think we need to fire us towards the title?
I think he's certainly one of a few pieces we probably need in January to fire us towards a title. I think I said in the podcast a couple of weeks ago that I expected it would be loan moves that Rangers would make in January. I'm not really sure they'll make any permanent signings, and if they do make permanent signings, I don't think there'll be a lot of outlay on them. So this doesn't surprise me. Maybe this will be the only striker that comes in, because we do have Cyril Dessers there. We're not sure how long Kamar Roof's out for. And of course, Danilo is out at the moment, but he will be back before the end of the season, I'm sure. So maybe they look at this loan signing as enough right now. Lawrence Shankland, I understand there's a lot of debate around him right now. Me personally, I just don't think Rangers are going to pay the money required to get Lawrence Shankland. Hearts are well entitled with the way that he is playing at the moment to demand 3-4 million. He is Hearts' player. They're well entitled to ask for that. I don't think Rangers are going to give them that. So that one just is a non-starter for me at this point. Great player, really good finisher, probably what we need. But I just don't think that's a goer. So yeah, Fabio Silva is probably in the middle of that. You're bringing in a player with a lot of potential. We're obviously hoping to get a wee bit out of that before the end of the season. And I think that's the way that Rangers will go for probably the majority of the signings in this window, Craig.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one. I too believe we need Lawrence Shankland or a proven goal scorer. We create a lot of chances. We miss a lot of chances. I think we just need someone Chris Boyd-esque to come in and just finish those chances prolifically and consistently, which I think Lawrence Shankland would do if he was given the opportunity. Moving on, Ross, to I guess more of the strategic side of stuff. I was really impressed by how early this move was made. I wonder if the fact it got out into the media earlier on today forced Rangers' hand a little bit, and it's maybe been announced that a bit earlier than they wanted to, but it's definitely got all the fans going, and it's got all the fans excited, and it's got the other side of the city worried as well, which is never a bad thing. What do you think the rest of our business will be like? Do you think it will continue to be done fairly quickly and fairly early? We heard rumours beforehand that a striker, a central midfielder, and a left back were the kind of three areas that Rangers were looking at. Is that something you expect this to continue on a roll as such, or do you think it might just be a bit more spread out?
Well, I think when it comes to any transfer window, it's very, very difficult to estimate how quickly you can get deals done, because it just depends on the other clubs. And I think in January it's even more difficult because, if players are doing well at their club, clubs don't want to sell them in the halfway through a season. So I think what's encouraging for Rangers, if there is the possibility to get a deal done early, they're doing that. Fabio Silva is one that they've concluded that deal before the window opens. So that's really encouraging for me. And I think Philippe Clement will really want those kind of 2 weeks that you get in the winter break as a real opportunity to go and strengthen the squad. You can focus on it. I'm sure the players that are there currently will get a little bit of downtime. And I think the club will really look to bring in some more players at that point. In terms of the positions, centre midfield, I think that's fair considering the injuries we have at the moment. I think Connor Barron was one linked from Aberdeen. I wonder if that's a kind of Scott Wright deal they might do in terms of signing him in a pre-contract and then they try and get him in this window for cover. And then left back, yeah, I think that is an area we probably have to look at. I'm not sure we'll look at that in January. That might be one we just see us through to the end of the season. But we certainly need to strengthen, Craig. I think we need to strengthen in forward areas, and we've done that with Fabio Silva. So I'm looking forward to seeing him in the Rangers jersey.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how that progresses over the coming days and weeks. Thank you very much, Ross, for joining us for this immediate fan reaction. I'm now going to swap Ross out for an actual football expert and bring in Italian football journalist Luca Bendoni, who was the journalist that broke the story that Fabio Silva was heading to Glasgow earlier on today. So we'll welcome Luca on very shortly and we'll get his views on the story behind the transfer. Hi everyone, I'm now joined by Luca Bendoni from Gianluca Di Marzio's Italian football journalist team. How are we doing, Luca?
Absolutely fine. Thanks a lot for the invitation. It's a pleasure for me to be here. What about you? All good?
All good. Delighted Rangers have another signing for us to talk about, or the first one of the January transfer window. We were keen to get you on, Luca, because you actually broke the story earlier on today that Fabio Silva would be heading to Glasgow. There was a wee bit of time I think it took to get the clarification which side of Glasgow he was heading, but eventually it became clear that it was in fact Rangers. Firstly, how did it all come about? Is it when did Rangers' interest first emerge in Fabio Silva in that transfer?
Okay, so I think that Rangers' interest is far in the past started, to be honest, because already in December there were contacts that were concrete. But I thought that Fabio Silva would have assessed also other options like the Serie A and the Bundesliga, because he was exploring the market. Wolverhampton already had said yes to a potential loan move because they wanted to let him play. They were searching a team that could also maybe do a deal with a buy option or buy obligation, but in the end it will be a simple loan at Rangers. So he stays in the UK and he will try to get some more minutes, because at Wolverhampton he has been barely playing this season, and that's the only thing a young player needs basically. And that's why also he chose Rangers, because he didn't want to wait, to be honest, because he could have had opportunities in Italy. We are going to speak about it in the podcast for sure, but he wanted immediately a new team. He just said, no, I want a team now to play, to continuously play and to hope to win something this season. And so he chose Scotland and he chose Rangers.
Yeah, that's really interesting. From our perspective, that obviously works out really well. For us, we are keen to get players in as soon as possible, even though we have a winter break coming up in Scotland for a couple of weeks. We're keen to get players in as soon as possible to help them adapt. We know Scotland's climate is very different from a lot of other places. We know that the style of football can be very different as well. And with a new manager such as Philippe Clement, like we have at Rangers, it's always good to get players in early to get them adapted to the style of football he wants to play and the role he wants players to play within that. It seems that Fabio Silva has been a target for quite a long time for Philippe Clement and for Rangers. Just you touched on there were some other clubs interested. You mentioned that Wolves were keen to look at something potentially with an option to buy. And which other clubs were interested? Were there any that kind of stuck out or were really pushing hard to try and get them in the door?
First of all, there was a German team, Freiburg. First of all, then also other Bundesliga sides came in. I don't want to mention them because they are. He was proposed to many German teams, I would say 3 or 4, and they were all thinking about him. In Italy, he was proposed to 3 clubs, 2 of which were keen on him. Actually, interesting. They were exploring the conditions of a deal. They couldn't afford an obligation or an option to buy, but on a simple loan, they would have liked to do this deal. And they are Genoa and Monza. Monza have been playing amazingly well, good football this season, and also Genoa are playing good. They have a good attacking duo, Gudmundsson and Retegui, and he could have completed a perfect attacking trio, in my opinion, Fabio Silva. But in the end, he will not come to Italy. He said he already signed for Rangers, and the thing that went in my mind, like to find which team he was signing for, was the post he made on Instagram today. Like the emoticon announcing basically that he was gonna have a transfer. So I asked a few sources, because as there were also Italian sources involved and also German sources involved, other than his agents, etc. I asked a few contacts, and then in the end it appeared that he was heading to Scotland, and one of Celtic and Rangers. I immediately posted, first of all, to give the news basically to Wolverhampton fans, because they wanted to understand if his departure was going to be permanent, was going to be a loan with option, loan without option. And so I just wanted to clarify that it was a simple option to Scotland. I didn't know yet if it was Celtic or Rangers. In the end, they told me, no, it's Rangers. So I went pretty straight for Rangers. And I'm pretty sorry, actually, to have gone with the first news, with the first bit, without even saying the team, because I don't like to do that. But I knew that time was not on my side, because he was announcing the team in a few hours. So I went straight away, because the problem was time here. But yeah, because again, he decided that he wanted to play immediately. That's the thing.
Yeah, I imagine your notifications from Twitter went crazy when you posted that. We posted
Pretty
that
much,
tweet. Yeah. Yep, the interest from Rangers and Celtic fans whenever there's a transfer story always sets the bar really high, and there's a lot of interest, and I imagine a lot of demands were being made of you to tell you exactly who it was. But it's been confirmed now by Rangers, by Fabio Silva, that he's joined the club and will be on loan for the next 6 months till the end of the season at Rangers from Wolverhampton. Luca, what is your understanding of the deal and how it's structured? I know you'd mentioned it's a simple loan. Is there any further information that you have on the deal at all?
Yeah, pretty much, because there is a small loan fee also to be paid by Rangers, and Rangers will cover an important part, if not the totality of the salary of the player of these 6 months. We're speaking, a pretty important salary, but not unaffordable as some people suggested on Twitter. It's affordable to Rangers, and it would have been affordable also to Celtic, because we are speaking about 6 months, not a whole year. I don't want to get deep into the precise details of the agreement, because they are, of course, private, and also sources tend to be pretty much general on these things. But I know there is a small loan fee. I wouldn't say it's in excess of 1 million. I wouldn't say. So we are not speaking about so much high figure like it was for Joao Felix to Chelsea last season. They paid over 10 million of a loan fee. No, this one is it's a normal one, and also important part of the salary covered by Rangers.
Yeah, that's really interesting. There's been we've seen a lot of rumours around how much he earns at Wolverhampton, or how much he's rumoured to earn at Wolverhampton. Is that something that Rangers as a team could afford? But it's interesting you say that it is a number that is affordable for Rangers, which is from a Rangers perspective, a Rangers fans perspective, is also encouraging that we're not pushing the boat too far out the way for this one, because we also know there are other areas of our team, of our squad, that we want to strengthen in January. And the concern is if you spend too much on one player, it takes away from other areas where we could strengthen, and what's going to be a really important 6 months for the club as we try and win the league title. Luca, one of the key ties between Fabio Silva and a potential move to Rangers that fans quickly picked up on was the relationship that potentially there was with Niels Koppen, who recently joined Rangers as Director of Football Recruitment. He was at PSV last season when Fabio Silva was brought in there on loan. They seem to must have quite a good relationship there, and obviously Philippe Clement seems to have played quite a big part in convincing Fabio Silva that Rangers is where he should spend the next 6 months of his footballing career. How big an influence were those two people?
It's absolutely true, because they already had a relationship, as you said, and he wanted him. He wanted him, of course, to have him back, because last season in PSV, Fabio Silva have been good. He has scored 5 goals, 16 appearances, if I'm not wrong. So pretty good stats. He had played good football. He was back into his original form, into the Fabio Silva we already know from the Porto experience. Of course, the expectations are always high on Fabio Silva, because he has been paid 40 million by Wolverhampton, and he never went on this real value again. But in the end, he's still 22. He's absolutely young player. He can do a good 6 months in Scotland, maybe win the title, maybe win something, so he can get back to the form. And it's pretty interesting and original, the choice of Scotland over Italy, over Germany, but it testifies also the will of Fabio Silva of playing immediately, of being continuous, because maybe in Bundesliga he would have had some other strikers. It would have been difficult, not difficult, but he wouldn't have been playing so much. He will play. He comes as a starter. He comes as a very important player. That's the project that they made to him. So yeah, pretty much that's it.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting, and how important those two people were in bringing him to the club, and how important getting the chance to play football was as well. Luca, one of the points that's been mentioned since the first rumours came out, or since your tweet sort of announcing that he was heading to Scotland and then Rangers, was how big a factor European football after Christmas was in that decision. Is that something that you've heard in terms of Rangers already been qualified for the last 16 of the Europa League was a factor in him deciding to choose Rangers over another club?
Well, to be honest, I don't have precise information about it. I can ask, of course, but I don't have precise information. What I know is that he's obsessed, as every striker, to scoring and to assisting, to be on the record. And if he's not, he's in pretty much difficult thing. One thing that I find pretty challenging from this move is that he never had great chances in the UK. Because he just played at Wolverhampton in the UK. And so maybe that's one factor also mentally about this choice, to wanting to prove that he can play in this style of football, even if Clement plays a football that is much more European. It's modern football that he has always brought out. But thing is, maybe it's also a challenge about doing well in the UK and saying, yeah, I can play for Wolverhampton because I already played for Rangers. I scored X goals at Rangers in 6 months, and so I'm here to stay at Wolves, maybe. Or maybe it's a move in perspective of a future permanent move somewhere else. And so to valorize himself, also we have to think that there is the Euro at the end of the season, Euro 2024.
Yeah.
And so he maybe wants, of course, as every player, he wants to take his chances and to play regularly to hope to get a ticket to the Euros. So that's the main thing.
That's excellent. Well, Luca, thank you very much for joining us on the TII podcast and for your expert insight. Just for the listeners, if they want to follow you, follow your transfer news and your transfer workings, where can they find you?
Thanks a lot. Really appreciate that. You can find me at Luca Bendoni on X, Twitter, or even on Instagram with the same name. That's simply my name. So you can find me very easily. Work with Gianluca Di Marzio from his team here in Italy, and also posting some international news as you saw. Thanks a lot for the invitation. It was a real pleasure. Bye-bye.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Luca, and thank you very much everyone for listening to this podcast. If you've enjoyed it, please drop a like on the video. That always does help us. Please do subscribe to the TII YouTube channel and turn on those notifications so you get a notification every single time we go live. Plenty of great content coming up as we build up towards the Old Firm game on the 30th of December. It's going to be a huge game, and there'll be loads of great content coming across the weekend. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Until next time, goodbye.